What's up, guys? It's Brad with Brad's Tree Service. Today I'm going to show you how to do a controlled slide line. Sorry I had to do a voiceover, but somehow the audio got messed up, so we're just going to have to deal with this. The first thing you want to do is hook up your static line. On one side I have it hooked up with a running bow line. The other side I have it running through a block and down to a porter wrap. You can use an xring too, but I use a block because it creates mechanical advantage. You can also do a 3-to-1 at the porter wrap. But keep in mind, this is for a lightweight system. So if you just sweat the line out and lock it off at the porter wrap, that should be good. Alrighty. Looks like we got it good and tight, so the next thing we're going to do is hook up the control line. The control line is not really weight bearing, aside from pulling the load from left to right. Basically, the control line is what will move the floating crotch left and right. It will allow the ground guys to be able to move it towards the drop zone or move it back towards the climber. And you can use xring or a block, but like I said, if you were pulling the load towards the drop zone and it was pulling the load up, then the block would make an advantage to where when they're pulling the load towards the drop zone, it would be a lot easier. So now I installed the Dmm Rigging Hub, which you need, and I'm using 2 Dmm revolvers. You don't have to use these. You can just use 2 carabiners and 2 micro pulleys. The main thing you want to make sure you do is how I'm about to hook it up to the hub right now. When you hook the control line up to the hub, I use a midline knot, and it's an Alpine Butterfly that I use. And the way how we hook it up, I think it helps with the problem of everything getting jammed up. There is pins for the Dmm revolver to try to keep it to where the pulleys are upright and all in line, but I find that it causes friction and it gets jumbled up. It just doesn't work that great. So this is the solution right here. So you're going to take your Alpine Butterfly, stick it between the 2 carabiners, and on the back side of the line, you want to clip that in so that it's in line with the hub. And then clip the carabiner through the hub and through the Alpine Butterfly on the other side. And you want to do this on both sides. See? Around the line, through the hub, and then through the Alpine Butterfly loop. There you go. This just works so good. Because the main issue I was having with the slide lines is that it would try to flip upside down or it would be dragging. There's always something going on with it, and I would just get frustrated and it would take too long and we just wouldn't do it. When you attach it like this, man, you won't have any problems. This is the key. This is the key right here. It makes it magical. Oh, you see how that loop, I left the loop a little bit big or whatever. When you put the rigging line through the center of the hub, just make sure you're not running it through the Alpine Butterfly. Push the Alpine Butterfly up and make sure the rigger line is underneath the loop, not through the loop. If you run the rigging line over top that rope loop, then you'll burn your rope. Look at the smooth operation. It just keeps everything nice and straight and in line. Nice and smooth. Very easy to get the rigging line back to the climber. and very easy to manipulate the piece over top obstacles. You can go back, go forward, lift up, go down. Okay, so now I'm hooking up the rigging line. Ideally, you want to have 2 ground guys and 1 climber in this situation. 1 ground guy on the rigging line, 1 ground guy on the control line. But since I'm doing this video by myself, I'm going to hook a VT to the rigging line. Now, you can use a VT, or you can use a rigging wrench, which actually would probably be a good idea, but I don't have one of those. Don't really have a need for it. But keep in mind, if you were to put a VT on this setup, you need to make sure that the end that it's coming down to the drop zone, you'll be able to reach it, because if both ends of the slide line are up in the air where you can't reach it, you won't be able to lower it. But like I said, I prefer 2 ground guys on this, so that 1 can work the rigging line and 1 can work the control line. 1 guy can raise and lower, 1 guy can left to right. And it works great. And, you know, a lot of people, I'm pretty simple myself, you know. This is a lot of stuff to hook up, but it does have its place. When you're working far out on a limb, over top somewhere where you don't have a good drop zone, treacherous terrain, a neighbor that won't allow you to access their yard, just getting the rigging rope over to you, just them being able to walk over and just pull the rigging line right to you. Just that in itself, once it's set up, think about the repetition. If you had, and then you might not even have a high point as you can tie to, but if you had a high point to tie to and it's way behind you, he's got to tie the rope to your line every time. You got to pull it up. You got to fight through all the brush. With this, you set it up. He pulls it right over to you. Hook up. Cut the piece. Pull it over to the drop zone. Lower it. Take it back. Super easy. Super smooth. I'm telling you, it has its place. Try it out. And there's many other things you can do with this too. You could use it as a tie-in, and you can essentially put a false crotch anywhere. I hope you guys enjoy.